After the dust of creation settled, God planted a garden. It wasn't just a forest, it was a sanctuary called Eden, a word that means delight. Imagine a place where the air itself felt like a caress, where every fruit was at its peak of sweetness, and where the lions played with the lambs. In the center of this paradise stood the man, Adam, and the woman, Eve. They were the crown of creation. Their skin had never felt the sting of a thorn, their hearts had never felt the weight of a secret. They walked with God in the cool of the day, speaking with the Creator, as a friend speaks to a friend. But Eden was more than just a resort, it was a place of purpose. God gave them a job, to cultivate, to protect, and to expand this beauty. And He gave them one rule: not to restrict them, but to give them the dignity of choice. In the heart of the garden stood two trees, the tree of life and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. God warned them, "You are free to eat from any tree, but you must not eat from the tree of knowledge, for when you do, you will surely die." For a time, there was perfect harmony. No shame, no fear, no death. It was the world as it was meant to be, a world of shalom, where heaven and earth were one. Into this perfection crept a shadow. The serpent was more crafty than any other creature. He didn't approach Eve with a roar or a threat. He approached her with a question. Did God really say you must not eat from any tree in the garden? Notice the subtlety. He began by twisting God's words. He made the one restriction look like a prison. Eve corrected him. But the seed of doubt was planted. Then, the serpent spoke the first lie in history. "You will not surely die. For God knows that when you eat of it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil." This was the ultimate temptation, the desire to be our own gods, to decide for ourselves what is right and what is wrong. Without the Creator, Eve looked at the fruit. It was beautiful. It looked delicious. It promised wisdom. She reached out, the leaves rustling in a wind that suddenly felt cold. She took a bite, and she gave some to Adam, who was with her. In that single moment, the silence of the garden was shattered by the sound of the first crack in the human heart. The eyes of both were opened, but they didn't see what they expected. They didn't see Godhood. They saw their own nakedness. For the first time, they felt a cold, stinging sensation, shame. They tried to fix it themselves, sewing together fig leaves to cover up, but the leaves were dry and scratchy, a poor substitute for the glory they had lost. Then they heard the sound, the footsteps of God walking in the garden. Previously, this was the highlight of their day. Now, it was their greatest terror. They hid among the trees. God called out, not because He was lost, but to give them a chance to come home. "Where are you?" When they finally emerged, the blame began. Adam blamed Eve and even blamed God for giving her to him. Eve blamed the serpent. The intimacy was gone. The perfect us had turned into me versus you. This is the tragedy of the fall. It wasn't just about a piece of fruit. It was about a broken relationship. The harmony of Eden was replaced by the friction of sin. Justice had to be served. Consequences rippled through creation. Work would now be toil. Childbirth would involve pain. The earth would produce thorns. And eventually, they would return to the dust from which they were made. They were sent out of the garden, and an angel with a flaming sword was placed at the entrance to guard the tree of life. But God did not leave them without hope. Before they left, He did two things. First, He clothed them. He replaced their dying fig leaves with skins of animals. This was the first sacrifice life was given to cover their shame. Second, He made a mysterious promise. He told the serpent that one day, a descendant of the woman would come. The serpent would strike his heel, but he would crush the serpent's head. Even in the moment of their greatest failure, God was already planning their rescue. The story of Eden is our story. We all know the feeling of a broken world and a restless heart. But the story doesn't end at the gate of the garden. It points forward to a day when the thorns will be removed, the shame will be covered, and the way back to the tree of life will be opened once again. Thank you for joining us for this 6-minute journey into the beginning of our struggle and our hope. Don't forget to subscribe as we follow the story to the next generation, Cain and Abel.